I joined the Marine Corps for a lot of different reasons, one of them being, 9/11. I joined in right after that. It was kind of hard to see a lot of my friends going and have that kind of patriotic feeling of wanting to do something for your country and not do it yourself. So I said, you know what, I'm going to sign up, I'm going to go. And as luck would have it, they, we know when you join the military, sometimes you don't know what job you're going to end up having. Sometimes it gets picked for you. And I kind of lucked out in a way that I ended up being picked as to be a journalist, photographer. This is something I had a little bit of experience in. I helped with the high school paper, but I'd never really done a whole lot of journalism or photography. And I said, well, I think I might be able to do that. And, ever since then, it's been kind of a whirlwind, of learning an entirely different culture in the military, and not only that, a subculture of how journalism is actually done in the military and how they want you to tell the story. So when I was deployed to Iraq, I had to learn really quickly that, especially the operational tempo of how they wanted stories told in a timely manner, really kind of to make sure that any negative aspects of the story didn't get out before the true aspects did. So that was difficult, challenging, interesting, fun, all of the above. I went to a small private school in South Dallas, and especially because of my Christian background and traditions, I'd always felt pretty patriotic and very conservative. So when I joined the military, I did it for a lot of those reasons, that I believed in God and country and the desire to help. Well, to be a journalist in the military, they also, no matter what branch of service you're in, they all get sent to Fort Meade, Maryland. It's a joint reserve base where they have the Defense Information School. And about 3 to 6 months, depending upon your exact specialty, you're going to learn 8 hours a day, all day, for 3 to 6 months, journalism, journalism, journalism. Photography and how to write news stories and how to do all this kind of stuff. And it just gets shoved down your throat. So as soon as you get sent out into the fleet, actually into the military, you hit the ground running, writing stories for maybe a base newspaper or the websites. Oh, they got the best uniforms. Look, the Marine Corps got the best uniforms. I don't care what anybody tells you. No, you know that commercial at the movie theater where there's a guy fighting a dragon with a sword? I said, oh, I'm going to be that guy. No. I joined the Marine. Honestly, I had a couple of friends that joined the Marine Corps, and when they came back and told me, Joel, you probably couldn't do it, I said, all right, it's on. And it was kind of proving it to them and proving it to myself that I could not only join the military, I could join the toughest branch of the military.
When did you join?
2002.
Okay, so it was very soon after 9/11 then.
Right, I joined, I signed the papers not too long after that and joined right up in June 2002. I was taking a couple college courses at a local community college, and I told them, I said, okay, as soon as this semester's done, let's make it happen. One of the aspects of being in the reserve is they can call you up even if it's not with your particular unit. A lot of people don't think that being called up to go overseas means that you're just going to go with your one unit. It's not necessarily true. I was actually called up for a unit out of California. So I came from Fort Worth and went to California with a whole bunch of people I didn't know, and then went to Iraq. And especially being a journalist, I served with at least a dozen different units in Iraq, all of which I didn't know anybody there.
Well, I bet that was really hard because units are really tight-knit.
Right, units are really cohesive. And especially as a journalist, you show up with a camera and everyone's like, who's this idiot? I got nicknamed really quick Kodak, partially because no one could pronounce my last name. And, I had to prove to them really quick, or I'll actually say, I had to learn really quick that in order to operate with this unit, I had to prove to them that I was also a Marine and also capable of doing what they could do. So the first few weeks, I put my camera down, and just grabbed the rifle, and trained with them. Every unit I went to, I did that. I'd show up with a camera in the bag. I'd let them know who I was and what I was doing, but not until later would I pull it out and actually start doing that job as a journalist, because you had to really build those bonds and cohesion of each unit I went to.